on the News Channel 5 network. This is OpenLine.
Hello everyone, welcome to OpenLine, our first show of 2019. Welcome to all of you, welcome to 2019. We're also tonight on a bit of a different set, so enjoy that. Let's see how this works. But what we're talking about tonight is something that affects almost everyone. And the question I have is, are you caring for an aging loved one? And if so, how are you going to pay for it? It's one of those difficult scenarios that many people find themselves in. And the tough thing is, how do you pay for the kind of care an aging loved one will need? We're happy to have with us somebody who can help answer these questions. Barbara McGinnis, elder law attorney with McGinnis.
Right.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Once again, thank you. On our new set here.
Yeah.
Look at that, we have OpenLine in the back, very nice. All right, let's start out this time defining elder law. So you are an elder law attorney.
Right.
I've tried to set it up with that question, but what is elder law?
What is elder law? Elder law is a niche practice that is uniquely defined by the age of our clients. We take care of older adults, but that doesn't mean we practice general law for old people. We have very particular specialties within that. Yes, it involves a lot of estate planning, because you can imagine that we all need an estate plan, and as you age, your estate plan needs may change. It's not just a one and done kind of thing. It's something that is a process. But the other thing about elder law is that we very much focus on care of an older adult. So it may be the early stages of care where you're starting to notice some functional decline at home and you're wondering what kind of community resources that can be organized to make you safe and allow you to continue to age in place. But it may be all the way into nursing home care, that someone needs extensive custodial care, and we're trying to figure out, well, how do you pay for that? So that's a lot of elder law too.
There are two areas I explore, two broad areas. Obviously wills and those kinds of things.
Right.
And I'm fascinated by those, and you certainly help with those. And then the other is, so a loved one, or maybe you yourself, are going to have to go into a nursing home. How are you going to pay for it?
Right.
And you help with both those things, certainly
Right.
the wills and that kind of thing. And then the planning that goes into, all right, it's going to cost $8,000. We've asked $8,000 a month.
Right.
How in the world do we set aside enough money to pay for that? And I guess if you can't, then what do you do? So how do you plan for $8,000 a month?
Well, some people do plan. Some people do plan well, in that early, that we're starting to see old age in our future, kind of like you and me, where we think, well, maybe we need some long-term care insurance, and that's one way to plan ahead. There are people, probably even our parents' age, that planned ahead with long-term care insurance, but it's not affordable for everyone. There are new products now that make it a little bit more palatable, that there are hybrids with long-term care insurance and life insurance, because even if you don't need long-term care, you probably still will die one day, so life insurance still pays off. Planning ahead is one thing. Everybody doesn't make that kind of money that they can save up and have $500,000 to $1 million in 401ks. I read something the other day that even if you retire at age 65 with $1 million, chances are that's not going to be enough to just even sustain your lifestyle. Forget about long-term care costs, right? Then you start looking at home equity, because a lot of people in this age group have home equity. So how does home equity help fund your care? But we get into public benefits most often, and I think that's kind of where you're going, is that the reliance on public benefits. How do we qualify? How do we use that system? And what we're really talking about is the Medicaid or TennCare program in our state.
And
so that's a lot of what we use to pay for care.
People don't know how to navigate that. That's kind of one of those things.
Absolutely.
I know you often ask, did your spouse serve or did you serve in the military? Because there are all kinds of benefits that go along with that.
There's
and you can help
a
navigate.
great number of veterans benefits, right. That helps. The veteran through the veteran benefits or the Veteran Administration healthcare system. long-term care system. The state veterans homes offer a discount for veterans. So that is definitely a great resource to tap into. But again, not everybody is a veteran or has a veteran in their family that helps with, and so we do look at TennCare. Just healthcare system in general is hard to navigate, because how do you move from one point of care to another safely? Transitions from hospitals to rehab centers back home, very dangerous in terms of continuity, making sure that changes in medications are well communicated. So transition points, payment of those different care settings can be very difficult for people to navigate, because you're talking about sick people, and sometimes sick older people, and they need an advocate.
So what are some of the things you're seeing come through your door this time of year? So we've just had the holidays, maybe people have been around loved ones for the first time in a few months. What are some of the things that people are bringing to you the first month of the year?
Well, there's a lot of things in life that don't take a holiday, and sickness and disability do not take a holiday. So people still are coming in with mom's in the nursing home, and it looks like that's where she's going to stay, and we're scared of how that's going to erode her resources. Not just, sometimes there is a worry about preservation of inheritance, but sometimes it really is just a matter of there's a finite amount of resources, and it's probably not going to last her lifetime. How can we be prudent with these resources? That's what we talk about. How do we restructure with full transparency and rural compliance? How do we restructure assets to maximize the benefit for the elder? Are there options for special needs trusts? There's certain people that assets can be given to without disability, but meaning without penalties. But you have to know those rules, and so gifting is rarely ever a suggested estate plan without professional guidance. You need to know what you're gifting and what implications that's going to have.
What are some, and I know, I think that's fascinating. This costs so much money. There are people that want to, there are people that have worked hard all their lives, and they want to give something to their kids, to the next generation. It's not that the kids want necessarily, and I'm sure they do, to get some inheritance, but it's the parent has worked hard, and they want that. So when the cost is $8,000 a month or something along those lines, what do you do? What do you recommend? I mean, the gifting is one thing. I know there are a lot of parents who say, I'm just going to give Johnny this money, and then the nursing home can't come and take it. We can talk about that later. Or I'm going to give him a house. What kind of things do you recommend there?
Well, even for the most part, indiscriminate giving, uncalculated, unplanned giving still requires a 5-year window of planning. So a lot of times we would include gifting, but it's calculated and planned. So what can the elder afford to gift? And to who makes a big difference, because we always want to be mindful of what their intent of their estate plan was. So meaning a power of attorney daughter comes into the office, we're not going to necessarily just give that person assets, right? It's what does mom want? What does dad want? And how does that fit in with the whole thing? The TennCare program, they have a formula that they use for calculating penalty periods or periods of ineligibility for the TennCare benefit based on the gift. Right now it's $5,472 per, it calculates into a month of ineligibility. So again, you have to know the rules, you have to know how it fits in, how much money can you afford to gift if you're going to use gifting as a strategy. Now there may be many other ways to restructure assets to create eligibility. For a married couple, usually gifting is not necessary. You transfer to the well spouse, but that does not necessarily protect assets prior to eligibility, prior to application, because TennCare considers all assets owned by a married couple as being jointly accessible.
Right.
So
And what we're talking about here, what you're talking about is how do you prevent TennCare from coming and taking some of those assets, right?
Right.
So someone's been in a nursing home, they've run up a big bill, the nursing home is certainly owed money. TennCare has a right to come back and take some money. They can take
up to what they've paid out,
which is a lot.
Sometimes it can be a lot. You know, the average length of stay for long-term care residents is in the neighborhood of 2 years. But there's always those outliers, people that live 10 years in a nursing home or even longer. So you have to plan for that long range of finances. How are they going to stretch? How are they going to stretch? And sometimes that's all we're looking for, is because TennCare provides bare minimum essentials, even in nursing homes. It's an important benefit, it's a huge service, but it's bare minimum essential. So can we use a special needs trust or a pool trust to transfer some assets there? Fully compliant with TennCare policy, it allows for a vehicle or a vessel then to continue to pay for some of those extra things for a person to improve quality of life. Private room differential, or maybe extra therapy that's not covered by Medicare and Medicaid, customized wheelchairs, maybe particular hygiene or toiletry items, those kind of things, because we all have needs that are over and above just what those basic. So pool trusts are one of the things that we like recommending for a place to transfer assets.
See, it's a very interesting discussion. How do you do this? All right, so we want to take a break, and then we'll come back. We'll talk whatever you want to talk about. Wills, if you have questions about wills, or this planning, this endless process of planning, and what mistakes do people make, what do we need to all be doing? Give us a call if you want. There's the number, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. Take a break. Be back right after this.